And we are happy to say that once again we are joined by former Congressman from the great state of Texas, Tom DeLay. Hello, Congressman. How are you?
I'm fine, Steve. I hope you're doing well.
I am. I'm glad to hear from you again. Glad you could join us. I appreciate it. Too bad there's nothing to talk about. Oh boy! Oh boy! All right, let me start with something that came out today, which you may or may not be aware of, and that is that the New York Post reported John Cordell, who's the financial editor of the New York Post. He has a Census Bureau source, a man who was caught faking unemployment results, Julius Buckman. And according to confidential census documents that the Post obtained, this guy Buckman told him that he was told to make up information by higher-ups at the census. In other words, when the unemployment rate went from 8.1% in August of 2012 to 7.8% in September, it was manipulated, according to this source, and the manipulation continues today, according to the source. Don't forget, Obama moved to put the Census Bureau under control of the White House. He did that, and this could be the result. Would it shock you?
It doesn't shock me at the least. We've been trying to say this ever since 2008. People have been talking about the real unemployment number is not what is being put out by the Department of. We don't know exactly what they are, because the people that are doing this, whenever it has bad news, they change it. And we've been trying to say this ever since Obama became president, and they've gotten worse at it. So it's finally people are having to understand what's going on when there's been so many people crying out to the wilderness and screaming that the economic numbers put out by the Obama administration are all lies.
Yeah, and of course the significance of getting it from 8.1 to 7.8 before the election in 2012 is that no president had ever been elected with an unemployment rate over 8%. So it served a purpose if that's the way it went.
That's exactly the way it went. And we had a nominee, unfortunately, that would not attack Obama. Those of us sitting out in the real world were just gnashing our teeth and eating glass trying to get him to go after Obama when these numbers were being doctored by the Obama administration. This is a political administration. It has nothing to do with substance, and they will lie, cheat, and steal in order to maintain their power.
Well, let me ask you this, Congressman. I spoke to Senator Cruz down at Restoration Weekend in Florida over the weekend, and I asked him, he actually has been speaking about the abuse of power by this administration on so many levels, so many laws that Obama has refused to enforce or has selectively enforced, including but not limited to the Affordable Care Act, where he's made changes unilaterally, most recently with that, giving the insurance companies the right to keep people after he told them they couldn't. And all this is unconstitutional. So I asked him, I said, is it impeachable? And he wouldn't answer directly, but he said, I would advise the House to use their best judgment on that. What's your best judgment on what we're seeing over and over again by this administration?
Well, the House is working, and I appreciate what they're doing. I don't know, and I have no way of knowing if they're really looking into impeachment. I know that just last week, my successor, Pete Olson from the 22nd District of Texas, introduced a bill to impeach Eric Holder. So people are starting to think in these terms. Obviously, you don't want to impeach the president for policy differences, but this administration is corrupt. Their credibility is shot. It's going to get worse. And a case at least needs to be looked at as to what this president is doing, how he's doing it, why he's doing it, and a narrative, at least a narrative, has to be put together.
We're talking to former Congressman Tom DeLay here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Let's focus on Obamacare right now. Do you believe, because I just heard it again during the break, Jake Tapper sitting there with Tim Pawlenty on one side, and I forget who was on the other side. Oh, yes, former Senator Bob Kerrey on the other side. And Chapper and Kerry say, well, you know, the Republicans, they have nothing to offer. They're just the party of no when it comes to health care. And I'm tired of asking this question of people, but I'm anxious to hear your answer. If you were there, would you urge the Republicans in the House to, I know they have millions of plans floating around, but to pass something so that they could show the American people and silence the left who keep saying, where's your plan? You have nothing, because you could have them floating, but in reality, they don't have one.
Well, first of all, the American people have never bought into the fact that we have to, on the federal level, have to do something like get health care insurance business. So the Republicans should not offer anything that's unconstitutional.
All right, Congressman, I'm going to have them call you right back, or if you could call us right back, because you're fading out and we're missing the meat of what you're saying. So if you could hang up and call us right back, I'd really appreciate it. And hopefully, I know it's a cell phone, but hopefully it'll still wind up to be a better connection. So we're talking to, of course, former Congressman Tom DeLay, former House Whip, and he is a free man, and he's giving his opinions to us for the second time in the last month or so, and we're anxious to hear them, and I'm anxious to hear all of what he has to say. So we had him hang up, and hopefully he'll call right back, and hopefully the cell phone connection will be just a little bit better when he does. But you know, this issue of impeachment, it's just that Congress doesn't have standing to take the president to court. Let's go back to the Congressman. Okay, Congressman, I'm sorry. Your answer to should the Republicans put forth their own plan?
No, they should not put together a plan that's unconstitutional. The federal government has no right nor authority to get involved in the health care insurance business. The states, if they deem it necessary for their own constituents, can do this. The local governments, I'll give you an example. In Houston, Texas, we have a charity hospital. We have charity clinics. People that don't have insurance can go to those clinics. They don't have to go to the emergency room. It's all paid for by a local tax on the people in Houston, Texas. That is a solution. A federal solution is unconstitutional, and I urge the Republicans not to provide anything. One thing they could do that's within the Constitution is have to allow health insurance plans to be sold across state lines. That's interstate commerce, and they could do that. Those kinds of things. But first of all, it's not the federal government's authority or responsibility to take care of the 30 million people that did not provide for themselves by buying insurance or opening a health savings account.
So you say any plan, whether it's making insurance companies accept pre-existing conditions, or keeping your kids on their plan till you're 26, making that possible, that's all unconstitutional, sir? Yes,
you don't get into the health care insurance marketplace.
Gotcha.
That is a prerogative of the states, outlined by the 10th Amendment, and it is not the prerogative of the federal government. That's why President Obama said last week that they've been trying for 100 years to do this. He said it in the press room of the White House. I couldn't believe it. It is not the federal government's business to be involved in the health care insurance business.
Gotcha.
When you start setting benefits and you start setting prices, you destroy the market. I mean, if you go to their website, the big, huge banner on the front of the website says, "Welcome to the marketplace." That in itself is a lie.
Congressman, I'm up against a hard break. I thank you so much. Very interesting, and I'm sure we'll continue this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Former Congressman Tom DeLay here on the Steve Malls.